Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing sending units on classic cars. This seems to be a problematic area for most people, not because of the difficulty of installing one of these, mainly just because they just aren't made very well anymore. A quality control issue, I think the molds have just ran through the mill and nothing is straight and lined up as it should be anymore. So basically what I'm going to show you is a foolproof way to put a new sending unit in your classic ride that you can know at all times, regardless of what the needle shows and what it's supposed to be. It can show you what you actually have. Okay? So here's what you want to do. First, take your sending unit you just pulled out of the box, inspect it, make sure all your brazing around the inlet tubes, outlet tubes, whatever your sender has on it, are nice and clean. There's no pops, there's no breaks. Checking your nice sock here, and then now make sure that your float arm moves freely up and down. Now you're going to take a multimeter and put it to the ohm setting and put the positive wire on this stud and the negative wire somewhere on the body, on the tube, on this body here, and you're going to take this arm and you're going to slowly move it and make sure that the ohms reading changes as you go. And what you're going to be looking for is to make sure that if that's within spec. If that's within spec pretty well, then you should be okay with continuing on the install of your vehicle. So this one in particular is actually for a 65 through 68 Mustang. I'm going to be putting it in a 69 Mustang. Now a 65 through 68 had a 15-gallon tank, and yes, it could theoretically be off, but honestly I've had 4 different sending units for this particular 69 that the ohms checked correctly, everything was installed correctly. My gauge is good, it's an original gauge. I've even used a aftermarket gauge that somebody let me borrow to see if these new sending units match up with the new gauges, and honestly they just don't. So the best way to go about it is to make sure that all this is fine with just the sender itself. Install the sender in the car, and say if you have a 20-gallon tank, break it up into quarters. Run out, take your gas can out with a dead nuts empty fuel tank. So you're putting your sender in, you've got everything drained out anyway. This is the time to really find out what you're supposed to be at. So get everything installed, hop in the car with no gas in the car at all. Just hit the key to the on position, wait a few seconds for everything to read and register where it's supposed to, and see where your float level is. Okay, now theoretically, you should be right about here on the E, So if it's not, if it's somewhere else, then you know, hey, maybe it's back further here. That you know you have a little wiggle room. Even when you hit the E, you have a little bit of gas left. So let's just say hypothetically you're right on the E, okay? So you run out to the gas station, you bring back a 5-gallon can that's got exactly 5 gallons in it. You put it in the car, turn your key on, see where it is. Now in the land of theoretics, with my car, it should be right on the money for quarter tank. That's broken up, 20-gallon tank into quarters, it should be right there. My car, currently, it shows right at empty when I have 5 gallons in there. Makes no sense, right? It should be right here at quarter tank. Okay, whatever. So, also for instance, right here on this car, when my car reads quarter tank, it actually has 10 gallons left. It should read a half tank. When I go and I fill it all the way up, instead of it stopping at the fuel line, it actually dives way down here past full. So, what I'm going to recommend to you is you to install your sender, break it up into quarters or thirds. If you have like a 10-gallon tank, put 3 gallons in it, bring it back, turn your key on, see where it's at. So that way you can see, even if you put 5 gallons in on this tank and it brings up to half, you know that when you're at half, it's pretty much around the money if you have 5 gallons left. I think it has nothing to do with how these resistors and everything are made. I personally think it's all in either these arms get bent in shipping, or they no longer bend them correctly, or this float's not the right length or something. But I think if you do that and you run that way and immediately acclimate yourself to what the needle says as opposed to what it's supposed to say, it should help you in the long run. Part 2 of this video will be coming up in the next few days. This is actually a weird sender for the people that know these cars. There's not supposed to be in 2 outlet tubes from this tank. One of these is actually a vapor return. And a Mustang never had that from the factory in the early years, especially 69, 65, 68. So if you tune back in, you can see the installation and workings of putting a vapor return with a mechanical pump, so there's no electric pumps, on a 69 Mustang. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. It would help me out a lot, and see you in the future. Bye.